Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Once again, we welcome you all on behalf of ISKCON of Richmond to this part 2 of a very special series by His Grace Shankaranand Prabhu, where we are talking about the glorious qualities and pastimes of Hanumanji. Jai Hanumanji ki Jai. So we recently celebrated Sri Ram Navami, And last week, actually, we celebrated the beautiful appearance of Sri Hanumanji, the most beloved devotee of Lord Ramachandra. And we heard beautiful pastimes of Hanumanji from Ramayana, from His Grace Shankaranand Prabhu last Saturday. So today he'll be continuing those pastimes, and so many instructions we get from those pastimes of Sri Hanumanji. So once again, welcome everyone. And Shankaranand Prabhu is a very senior Vaishnava in our ISKCON movement, disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, a senior disciple, has been practicing this bhakti path for almost 3 decades. In early 90s, Prabhu joined, and not just practicing, he's been sharing this with so many. Prabhu's been giving talks on Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita to many devotees all around. Prabhu has dedicatedly served Srila Prabhupada's mission in so many ways. Prabhu served in Chowpatty temple. He started from there, and then Mira Road. And Prabhu spent many years, building New Vrindavan in West Virginia. So, and now Prabhu is in Sacramento with his family and also serving the community over there. So we are very grateful, Shankaran Prabhu. Thank you very much for giving us your valuable time, your association. Thank you very much. And without any further ado, over to you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for giving me an opportunity to serve the devotees from Richmond Yatra. And thank you very much for being such a kind and dear friend. Thank you. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dhatati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamishcha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathapitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvita Mishra Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, I'd like to thank all the devotees from Richmond Yatra. I would like to actually start with reading 3 verses from the 5th canto of Bhagavatam. These 3 verses are, regarding the residents of Kim Purusha Varsha offering prayers to Lord Ramachandra. So this is first verse from the 19th chapter of the 5th canto of Bhagavatam. Kim Purushe Varshe Bhagavantam Adi Purusham Lakshmana Garjam Sita Bhiramam Ramam Tacharana Sani Karsha Karshabhiratah Param Bhagavato Hanuman Sah Kim Purushair Avirata Bhaktir Upasate. Srila Shukdev Goswami said, "My dear king, in Kim Purusha Varsha, the great devotee Hanuman is always engaged with the inhabitants of that land in devotional service to Lord Ramachandra, the elder brother of Lakshman and the dear husband of Sita Devi." Text 2. Arishteshenena sah gandharve anugiyamanam param kalyaninim bhartir bhagavata katham samu pashnoti swayam chedam gayati. Translation. A host of Gandharvas is always engaged in chanting the glories of Lord Ramchandra. That chanting is always extremely auspicious. Hanumanji and Arishtashena, the chief person in Kim Purusha Varsha, constantly hear those glories with complete attention. Hanuman chants the following mantra. So there is a small purport by Srila Prabhupada to this verse. Please read. In the Puranas, there are two different opinions concerning Lord Ramchandra. In Laghu Bhagavatamrit 5:34-36, this is confirmed in the description of the incarnation of Manu. Vasudevadi Rupanam Avatara Prakirtitaham Vishnu Dharmotare Rama Lakshmadya Karmadamhi Padme tu Ramo Bhagavan Narayana iti rita Sheshashchakram cha Shankasya Kramatasyur Lakshmanadayam Madhyadeshe Sthito Yodhya Pure Asya Vasati Smrita Mahavaikuntha Lokecha Raghavendrasya Kirtita. In Vishnu Dharmottara, it describes that Lord Ramchandra and his brothers Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrughan are incarnations of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha respectively. The Padma Purana, however, says that Lord Ramchandra is an incarnation of Narayan and that the other three brothers are incarnations of Shesha, Chakra and Shankar. Therefore, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan has concluded that idam kalpa bhedenaiva sambhavyam. In other words, these opinions are not contradictory. In some millennium, Lord Ramchandra and his brothers appear as incarnation of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. And in another millennium, they appear as incarnation of Narayana, Shesha, Chakra and Shankar. The residence of Lord Ramachandra on this planet is Ayodhya. Ayodhya city is still existing in the district of Faizabad, which is situated in northern side of Uttar Pradesh. So this is now prayer by Hanumanji. Om Namo Bhagavate Uttam Shlokaya Namah Arya Lakshana Shila Vrtaya Namah Upashikshatmana Upasita Lokaya Namah Sadhuvada Nikshanaya Namo Brahmanya Devaya Mahapurushaya Maharajaya Nama Iti. Let me please your lordship by chanting the Bij mantra Omkar. I wish to offer my respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, who is best among the highly elevated personalities. Your lordship is reserved of all good qualities of Aryans, people who are advanced. Your character and behavior are always consistent, and you always control your senses and mind. Acting just like an ordinary human being, you exhibit exemplary character to teach others how to behave. There is a touchstone that can be used to examine the quality of gold, but you are like a touchstone that can verify all good qualities. You are worshipped by the Brahmanas, who are the foremost of all devotees. You, the Supreme Person, are the King of Kings, and therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So such a beautiful prayer by Hanumanji. The Puranas describe that every mantra recited carries some potency. So this beautiful prayer by Hanumanji is actually carries the potency of bringing all the wonderful qualities that he's describing in this verse, simply by reciting this verse. Shri Hanumanji is an eternal companion, an eternal servant of Lord Ramachandra. Shri Hanumanji was always eager to render service in so many different ways. It is so crucial and important. The Vaishnava Acharyas explained that there are 5 rasas. A living entity can have relationship with the Supreme Lord. Shantya, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya and Madhurya. So Shri Hanumanji is always eternally situated in Dasya Bhav. Although we study from the relative perspective that Rupa Goswami explains that the Dasya is superior to the Shantyaras and Sakhya is superior to Dasya. Vatsalya is superior to Sakhya and Madhurya is ultimate rasa. A living entity can relish or enjoy with the Supreme Lord. But all these rasas, a living entity situated in any of these rasas experiences the ultimate joy, the complete fulfillment of the rasa is relished by the devotee. So it's not that a devotee situated in Dasya is feeling some lacking compared to the devotees who are enjoying, say, Sakhya or Madhurya rasa with the Supreme Lord. The fulfillment is experienced to fullest extent. The joy one relishes simply by having a relationship with the Supreme Lord is complete. There is no sense of lacking anything. There's only superior intimacy. So Hanuman, being situated in Dasya, considering himself to be eternally the servant of Lord Ramachandra, is always eager to render service. And in this particular discussion today, we will try to look into the eagerness that Hanuman has to the ultimate culmination, that he is willing to respect anything and everything that is in relationship to Lord Ramachandra. And what is the degree of his respect and love for anything that is in relationship to Lord Ramachandra? We were discussing last week, Hanuman, so eager to serve and assist Lord Ramachandra in finding Mother Sita, and being reminded by all the Vanaras, he actually leaped into the ocean going to Lanka. And on the way, he had some challenges which he overcome. And finally, he reached Lanka. It was towards the evening that Hanuman reached in Lanka. And as soon as he landed, he saw the huge gate for entering into the city of Lanka. So in those days, the cities used to be protected. Like nowadays, we have city boundaries. There is no wall or nothing like that. But in ancient times, every city used to have a huge wall around it. Anyone want to enter the city, they have to enter through a particular gate. You can imagine. All the structures used to be constructed as a unit, using all the Shilpa Shastras from the scriptures. So Lanka was also a beautiful city constructed, and it was surrounded by walls. Although it was surrounded by the ocean, but it also had walls. Not that anyone coming from the ocean could directly enter the city. So Hanuman, he took a very tiny form and wanted to enter into Lanka. But he was confronted by the personification of the city of Lanka. She was a female demoness. Her name was Lankini. She stopped Hanuman. How can you enter in this city without my permission? And I've been serving Ravana, protecting this city. Anyone wants to attack or enter the city first has to confront me. And Hanuman, with his might, he simply gave a slap to Lankini and she fell to the ground vomiting. And she got up and she offered respects to Hanuman with folded hands. She said, long, long ago, Lord Brahma had given me the task of protecting this city. And that time he told me that when a Vanara comes and slaps me and defeats me, then my service to the city would be over. Because that's a time that the city is about to be destroyed. So I believe the time has come that the Lanka will be destroyed now. And Ravana will also be killed along with his entire dynasty. So I will leave. And saying this, Lankini actually left. And Hanuman, he took a very tiny form and entered into the city of Lanka. He decided to remain incognito so that when the night approaches, when everybody is sleeping, then he would start his search. So when the night arrived, it happened to be a full moon night, Hanuman entered into the palace of Ravana. Now Hanuman was actually a brahmachari, a celibate. When he entered into the palace of Ravana, and as we already discussed, Ravana was such a lusty person. He would go for conquering the different parts of the world. Not part of the different parts of the universe he would actually go to conquer. And whenever he would conquer a place, he would kidnap any beautiful woman, whether no consideration, whether she was a daughter or wife or daughter-in-law or sister of anyone, he would just take away. According to Vedic culture, a king, he could actually marry a virgin girl, but the kings actually, who were actually Raja Rishis, they would never have a lusty eye on another's wife. But Ravana had no such consideration. Whether somebody's wife, somebody's mother, no consideration. If he liked her, he would kidnap her, take them with him. So his palace was filled with so many beautiful women, which were brought from the different parts of the world, from Rakshasas families, from Gandharvas family, from demigods, from humans. So different families he had brought the beautiful lady, and he would enjoy with all of them. So when Hanuman entered, he saw so many beautiful ladies, because the evening hours, and they were lying after drinking, because they were enjoyed by Ravana, so they had developed similar mentality. So they were having their clothes very loosened Some of them, they were in a very, not appropriate way which a brahmachari should be looking at. And Hanuman is going and looking at each and every one of them, because he had heard from Lord Ramchandra the description of Mother Sita. So he's trying to compare the description with all these ladies, and for that it was required for him to closely see the features of each and every woman. And they were, all these women, they were lying in, fast asleep. So he couldn't find anyone. Finally, he came where he looked a very beautiful and incomparable beauty. He thought, this is Sita, because she had the descriptions as per Lord Ramchandra's description. He found her to be very much matching to that beauty. And when he's looking at that beauty of beautiful lady, he saw some inauspicious marks. So he understood, no, this cannot be Sita. It was actually Mandodari. So few inauspicious signs that he saw was, in the sleep, she was making inauspicious sounds. And the kumkum on her forehead was wiped out. And the middle line that is parting the hair, that was lost because of the hair being disarrayed. So Hanuman thought, this is actually an auspicious sign. This cannot be Sita. It looks like this woman is soon going to become widow, because when a woman becomes widow, her kumkum is wiped out from the forehead. And that was already wiped out in a way. So Hanuman thought, this is an inauspicious sign that she's going to become a widow soon. So she cannot be Sita. He continued to search. No. And he was thinking, I'm a brahmachari, what am I doing here? Or looking at these beautiful ladies in the palace. He saw all the paraphernalia for sense enjoyment in the palace of Rama. He saw foodstuffs. There are descriptions in Valmiki Rama, detailed description about what kind of foodstuffs he saw. It was all different kinds of flesh of different animals cooked in different gravies, in yogurt and different kinds of gravies. But Ravana was, being a Rakshasa, he was fond of eating flesh of different kinds. And he kept looking, but he couldn't find. So Hanuman became very much morose. He became disheartened that I have looked everywhere in the palace of Ram, but I couldn't find Sita. So he was thinking, all the monkeys, they have been anticipating that I will bring some good news, but I have failed. I couldn't find Sita anywhere. So he was very much, morose. He was thinking, now when I go empty-handed without any good news, all the monkeys headed by Angada, they would not be very happy. They wouldn't like to show their face to Sugriv. They'll probably commit suicide. And if they commit suicide when Sugriv doesn't receive any news of Mother Sita, perhaps he will also give up his life, because he failed as a friend to Lord Ramachandra. So he will also give up his life. And certainly Lord Ramachandra and Lakshman, when they are not able to have any news about Sita, they will give up their life as well. And when they give up their life, all the inhabitants of Ayodhya, they will certainly die. I don't want to live for seeing all this. It's better I should give up my life right here in Lanka. When he was thinking in that way, he actually rised up in the sky, thinking of giving up his life. But then he saw one portion of the city of Lanka, Ashok Vatika, was illuminated by the moonlight. So he thought, I have not explored that portion of the city. So let me go and explore that portion. So next morning, because it was night time, so in the morning he actually went to Ashok Vatika. He climbed on one of the tall trees to look around, and from that tree he saw a very beautiful lady, matching to the descriptions of Lord Ramchandra's descriptions about Sita. But she appeared very dirty. She was wearing the same sari which she was wearing when she was kidnapped from the Dandakaranya forest. And Hanuman observed that she looked like the moon in Rohini Nakshatra, which has been afflicted with Rahu. Especially when the moon is in Rohini Nakshatra, full moon in the Rohini Nakshatra. That's considered one of the best full moons of the whole year. Generally, there are, different nakshatras where this moon appears to be full moon. About 27 nakshatras throughout the year. So there are 12 full moon nights. And among those full moon nights, the full moon night in the month of Ashwin and Kartik is considered the best, because the Rohini Nakshatra is one of the most dear nakshatra of moon god. Rohini is also considered one of the wives of moon. So moon is very much delighted in Rohini Nakshatra. But sometime there is the eclipse takes place. Rahu swallows the moon in that nakshatra. So she looked like the full moon night of month of Kartik, afflicted with Rahu. Because her sari was dirty, she was wearing just one sari since the time she was kidnapped. And she was constantly shedding tears, remembering Lord Ramchandra. So Hanuman, when he saw Mother Sita in that state, he wanted to approach her, but he saw there were a lot of demons surrounding and protecting her. And while he was considering how to approach her, he saw Ravana appearing there, along, so many hundreds and thousands of demons and women as well, headed by Mandodari. They were accompanying him. So Ravana goes and Hanuman actually went near and hiding in the tree to hear the conversation. So Ravana was trying to boost himself. Sita, forget about Ram. He's just an ascetic. He's been deprived of his kingdom. He will never be able to give you any happiness. Forget about him. I am Raman, the Lord of Lanka. So just become my queen. You will be ruling all my queens. You will become chief of my queens. And Mother Sita chastised Ravana heavily. Ravana is boasting that nobody's as powerful as me. So you should become my queen. And Sita said, oh, you think you are really powerful? Therefore you tricked my husband Ram and my brother Lakshman to be driven away from the ashram so that you can kidnap me. You are like a dog who enter into the household when the master is not present and steal the booty, steal the foodstuffs. And Ravana couldn't tolerate. Nobody could dare to talk to Ravana like this. She said, I am inseparable from Ram, just as sun rays cannot be separated from sun. So the only chance for you to survive and maintain your life is when you respectfully hand over back to Ram. Otherwise, you'll be destroyed along with your whole dynasty. Now, this is actually a very significant lesson. Hanuman was observing all this. People in this world, they think that Lakshmi's blessings, if Lakshmi is in my home, that is very auspicious. But here, Mother Lakshmi, in the form of Sita Devi, was in the house of Ravana. He didn't bring any happiness to Ravana. He was constantly hearing chastisement from Mother Sita. He was hearing the threats from Mother Sita that you will be destroyed with your whole family. So, this is not really Lakshmi. The Vedas describe this is called Alakshmi. The Lakshmi acquired through illegal means. Like Ravana, he acquired Lakshmi Devi through illegal means. So Lakshmi, when she's acquired through illegal means following adharma, not caring for dharma principles. That Lakshmi is called Alakshmi. She is considered the elder sister of Lakshmi Devi. This is there. There is also, Shri Suktam. There are the words which says, Alakshmi Nashyamaham. The prayer to Mother Lakshmi, please destroy my Alakshmi. So people who are very eager to acquire the prosperity in this world without caring for principles of dharma, they are not actually acquiring Lakshmi, they acquire Alakshmi. That brings diseases, it brings anxiety, it brings all misfortunes, quarrels in the family, animosity with others. Everything was invited along with Mother Sita in the life of Ravana. Because Mother Sita was not happy in Lanka. Mother Lakshmi is always happy where there is Narayan being served. She loves to stay there. So people in this world, they think somehow or other, if I acquire good fortunes in the form of wealth, I'll be happy. Ravana had Sakshat Lakshmi in his home. He was not happy. In fact, that Lakshmi brought all misfortunes for Ravana. So it's a very wonderful lesson we learn. When we have Lakshmi acquired by illegal means, that's only a Lakshmi, the source of all misfortunes. So Ravana became so angry when he heard this threats. He told Sita, he was actually ready to kill Sita, but Mandodari stopped him. That's not befitting for you. She's in your custody and it'll go against your great fame. So then he warned Sita that I'm giving you 1 month's time. If you do not submit to me, then I will tell my, servants. They will cut you and cook your flesh and I will eat that. And all the ladies who were accompanying Ravana, they were thinking he's in love with Sita, but what? What kind of love is this? If you don't submit to me, then I'll cook your flesh and eat it. This is the kind of love Ravana had. This is the typical example of kama, lust. You submit to me or I'll kill you. So anyway, he left and Mother Sita was in tears. Now Hanuman is thinking that if I approach Mother Sita, she will consider me also to be one of the servants of Ravana, or she might even consider me that I'm Ravana, because Ravana has ability to disguise himself in so many forms, just as he disguised as a saint or ascetic to kidnap her. So it's not appropriate to directly approach her, because she might start screaming and yelling at me, and it might attract the attention of all the demons who are guarding that place. So he was considering what to do. So then he thought it will be appropriate to actually instill faith in Sita, because she was living and surrounded by these demons, all the Rakshasas, followers of Ravana. Nobody had really spoken to her about Ram. Nobody had really, spoken to her in sweet words, consoling her that she will be relieved from this situation. So Hanuman went to a tree which was very nearby to Mother Sita, and he started singing the glories of Lord Ram. He started singing the glories of Lord Ram right from his birth in the palace of Maharaj Dashrath, along with his brothers Bharat, Lakshman, Shatrughan. And then, all his childhood pastimes, and then his pastimes of going to, the forest with Vishwamitra Muni, protecting his yajna and punishing, Marich and Subahu, and then leading to his, coronation, and the day of coronation being banished to forest. So all these pastimes, when Lord Hanuman is singing in a sweet voice, Mother Sita was hearing, and she was becoming so joyful, so hopeful. She was looking so hopeless because she had been kidnapped by Ravana for such a long time. She was living there, and she had practically no hope whether her husband, Lord Ram, will have even clue where she is. So when she heard these beautiful pastimes, she became hopeful. And then she looked around, and Hanuman actually came in front of Mother Sita. And Sita asked him, "Who are you?" And Hanuman introduced himself, that I am servant of Lord Ram. And although Mother Sita was in a hopeless situation that time, she did not lose her clarity of the mind. When Hanuman said that he's servant of Ram, she didn't just trust him in such a situation. She asked the evidence. What is the evidence that I know that you are servant of my Lord? And that time, Hanuman actually took out the ring that Lord Ramachandra had given him. And he showed it to Mother Sita, that this is the ring. This was the ring of Lord Ramachandra. And he explained that Lord Ramachandra has lost so much weight. He's feeling so much immense separation. He's so distressed in your separation that this ring would no more fit him. In fact, this ring has become like a bracelet for him. It would fit in his wrist. And when Mother Sita saw the ring, she recognized that was the ring of Lord Ram. And just seeing the ring, she felt the presence of Lord Ramachandra. Lord Shiva tells Mother Parvati, Tadiyanam samarthana. Aradhanam api sarvesham Vishnu aradhana param. Tasmat paratram devi Tadiyanam samarthana. Among all kinds of worships, the worship of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, is actually supreme. But even better than the worship of Vishnu is the worship of things in relationship to Lord Vishnu. So Tadiya means Vaishnavas, devotees, or anything in relationship to Vishnu. So Mother Sita actually saw that ring non-different from Lord Ramachandra. She became so pleased, so happy. She started, glorifying Hanuman. That Hanuman, it is only Garuda, Vayu, and you can actually cross this huge ocean. I don't see anyone else could have done it. And Hanuman, when he heard these praises from Mother Sita, how this is actually very important. Hanuman did not start boosting himself. Yes, actually, I am the best servant of Lord Ramchandra. When he heard these praises from Mother Sita, that only you Garuda and Vayu could do this, because Vayu is everywhere. So Vayu doesn't have any difficulty. And Garuda, he's the carrier of Lord Vishnu. He can go to different planets, what we speak of just crossing one ocean. So she compared Hanuman with Garuda and Vayu. So Hanuman said, Mother, actually, there are so many soldiers in the army of Sugriv. They all could have done it. There are so many powerful monkeys in the army of Sugriv. And you should consider one thing, Mother, that when the kings, they want to send on some risky mission, they don't send their best men. They send somebody whom they can sacrifice. Not very important to them. So I'm not such an important monkey. That's what he's trying to say. I'm not such an important monkey. And he told Mother Sita that all these powerful monkeys like Sugriv and the great warriors in the army of Sugriv, they all are similarly loyal servants of Lord Ramchandra. So you have nothing to worry. When they come here, they will destroy the Lanka, and they will in no time destroy the Ravan and his entire army. But he told Mother Sita, if you want, I can take you right away. You sit on my shoulder, and within few moments, I will take you to Lord Ramchandra. And Mother Sita said, no, I would like my husband to come and rescue me. And moreover, generally, a woman doesn't touch any man also, willingly, without, any some purpose. So she said, no, I would like my husband to come and punish this wicked Ravana for his deeds. So I will stay here, but you please take my message to my husband. Please come soon. I will not be able to maintain my life for very long, feeling separation. So Hanuman, then he told Mother Sita that, how will I convince Lord Ram that I met you? So then she took out some jewel and gave it to Hanuman. She said, when he sees this, he will remember 3 people. This was the jewel given to me by my mother in the presence of Ram, and Maharaj Dashrath. So he will remember my mother, he will remember Dashrath, and he will remember me, because we were the 3 people, when this jewel was handed over to me. And then she also narrated one story to Hanuman. She said, this is only known to Lord Ramchandra and me. No one else knows this. And she narrated that how once the son of Indra, taking the form of a crow, he was Kakasur. Kaka means crow. So Kakasur, he wanted to eat the flesh of Sita. He was trying to put his beak into the chest of Mother Sita. And Lord Ramchandra became very angry. He was ready to kill him, and wherever this crow flew, because he was son of Indra, he could fly to different planetary systems. Wherever he went, Lord Ramchandra was chasing him. So he knew that there is no place he can hide now. So finally he fell at the feet of Lord Ramchandra only. And this way his life was spared. So Mother Sita narrated this story and told Hanuman that please tell Lord Ramchandra that come soon. And Hanuman, he assured Mother Sita, and he was thinking, now it's time to go back, but I should do something more. Now this was enough for Hanuman. He could have actually gone back and given message to Lord Ramchandra. Lord Ramchandra would have been perfectly happy. But he thought, now let me gauge how much strength these demons have. And let me also give a chance to Ravana. So he told Hanuman that, to correct himself. So he thought some plan and he started creating museums. It was almost now by the time it was night. So he started shaking the trees, uprooting the trees. And within no time, the whole Ashok Vatika, which was one of the favorite gardens of Ravana, this was his place for recreation. It was one of the beautiful, best gardens Ravana had developed. And Hanuman, within no time, turned it into as if some hurricane had passed by. Everything was uprooted. So all the soldiers of Ravana, they immediately came there and they wanted to punish, and Hanuman started beating them and killing them all. So when Ravana heard this news, he sent 80,000, actually not 88,000 demons, powerful demons. When he heard that some monkey is actually creating nuisance, he sent 88,000 demons. And in no time, Hanuman killed all of them. You can imagine 88,000 demons were killed by Hanuman right there. And then the 7 sons of the chief minister of Ravana, they were very powerful warriors. They came to arrest Hanuman and they were killed by Hanuman as well. So when Ravana heard this, he was very angry. He sent his own son, Akshay Kumar, to go and arrest him. And Akshay Kumar was a great warrior. There was a fierce battle between Akshay Kumar and Hanuman. But Hanuman finally, caught hold of his legs and bifurcated him, killed him by separating his body into 2 pieces. And when Ravana heard this, he was outraged. There was good counseling given to him by Mandodari and others, but he neglected all of that. And he sent Indrajit, the eldest son of Ravana. So Indrajit came and there was a fierce battle between Hanuman and Indrajit. And Indrajit soon realized it's not easy to kill this monkey. It will not be possible for him to kill the monkey. So he used Brahmastra to bind Hanuman. Now, Hanuman, of course, he had benediction from Lord Brahma that none of the weapons will be able to do anything to him. So he would have chosen not to be even bound by Brahmastra. But he agreed to be bound because he wanted to meet Ravana. He wanted to give him good counsel. So he was brought in front of Ravana. And Hanuman, when he was inquired by Ravana, Ravana said, why did you create nuisance? Why did you destroy my garden? Why did you kill my people? And Hanuman, being respectful to Ravana, he actually, gave some, because he saw Ravana, he looked on the throne, he looked so effulgent. In fact, Hanuman had seen Ravana in the palace also while sleeping, and he had appreciated the demeanor of Ravana. But when he saw him on the throne, Ravana looked so majestic. Hanuman could appreciate that this person has actually so much power and wisdom in him. He can be ruling all the devas and maintaining the whole universe only if he starts utilizing his powers for the virtuous cause. He is using all his powers for sense enjoyment. And Hanuman was feeling sympathy as well as feeling pity on Ravana. So he told Ravana that, my dear sir, I'm messenger of Lord Ramachandra. I've been sent by him to deliver some message. So when I came in the night, I was very hungry. So I went to, pick up some fruits. But it's a custom that, trees should not be disturbed in the night time. They're sleeping. So one should not pluck the fruits when they're sleeping. So I was trying to wake up the trees by shaking them a little bit. And shaking some trees were uprooted. And your men attacked on me. So just to self-defense, I had to kill them. I didn't attack them. They attacked me first and then I killed them. So Ravana became so outraged. He said, just kill this monkey. I want him to be killed. But Vibhishana, the brother of Ravana, he intervened. He said, my dear brother, it's not befitting. It's not befitting for you to kill a messenger. He's claiming himself to be the messenger of Lord Ram. So it's not befitting for us. It's against our prestige to kill a messenger. Since he has created museums, there are description in the scripture that messenger can be given some punishment by deforming him or plucking his eye or something like that, where it causes too much pain to him and his master as well. So Ravana said, yeah, this is a good idea. Set the tail of this monkey on fire, because monkeys have their tail very dear to them. So set on the tail of this monkey on fire. That will give him a lot of pain, and it will also give a lot of pain to his relatives and friends. And Hanuman, though he could have retaliated, he had full ability to break the bonds of Brahmastra, which was binding him. He allowed, because he had some plan in the mind. He allowed the demons to just set his tail on fire. And once his tail was set on the fire, and all the demons were actually making fun of him, that time Hanuman, he shrinked his size to get out of the bonds and jumped on one of the palaces of the rooftop of the palaces. And his tail was anyway set on the fire. So he started going from rooftop to rooftop, setting every building, practically every home, every palace in the entire Lanka, he set on fire. He left only one palace, the palace of Vibhishan. Because Hanuman could understand that Vibhishan was actually a virtuous Vaishnava. He had heard Vibhishan chanting the names of Lord Ram as well. So he, except the palace of Vibhishan, he set every building in Lanka on fire. So when everything was set on fire, then Hanuman started thinking, I burned the whole Lanka. What if Ashok Vatika also got burned? And Mother Sita also must have been burned. Oh, I am so foolish. I had no control over my anger. No? Because Hanuman was angry when he was burning the whole Lanka. He wanted to teach a lesson to Ravana. No? And he was condemning himself that, what did I do? But actually, when his tail was set on the fire, this news was reached to Mother Sita. Mother Sita, when she heard that Hanuman was having his tail set on fire, she actually prayed to Agnidev, my dear Agnidev, please make sure that my son Hanuman doesn't feel any pain from being burning. And that very moment, Hanuman had felt the fire as cooling and soothing to his tail. He didn't feel any heat of the fire. So Hanuman started thinking, it must have been by the prayers of Mother Sita that Agni was not able to torment me. I was feeling actually cooling and soothing experience on my tail. So if by prayers of Mother Sita, Agni is not able to burn me, how is it that Agni can burn Sita? But he also wanted to confirm. So he rose and he went to Ashok Vatika and he saw Mother Sita. She was alive. And when Sita had heard that whole Lanka was set on fire by Hanuman, she was very happy. So again, Hanuman assured Mother Sita and he leaped into sky to go back to Lord Ramachandra. And he brought this happy news to monkeys, and they all together went to Sugriv. And as soon as Hanuman saw Lord Ramachandra, he said, of course, he was a very learned Pandit in Sanskrit. He knew all the Vedangas. He knew Sanskrit grammar very well. But he spoke something that apparently looked very inappropriate language while communicating to Lord Ramachandra. Generally, when we say, I found Sita, But this is not how Hanuman communicated to Lord Ramchandra. He said, found Sita, I. Now, the Vaishnava Acharya actually explained, Hanuman, he was praised by Lord Ramchandra for being so refined in his language. Why he has to speak so inappropriate, grammatically inappropriate sentence? No. Because he was thinking, Lord Ramchandra is feeling so much separation from Mother Sita. If I speak I first, that could mean so many things. When Lord Ramchandra is hearing the word I, he could mean I failed, I couldn't find Sita, and he might even give up his life. If I say Sita was found by me, he may still think Sita is dead or Sita is not found. In that case also he might give up his life. But I say found. No. Lord Ramchandra was expecting whether found or not found. So he says found Sita. Then Lord Ramchandra will be pacified. So in this way, Hanuman, knowing the heart of Lord Ramchandra, he communicated the message appropriately. And when Lord Ramchandra heard, the entire message from Hanuman, Hanuman showed him the jewel, that Chudamani that Sita had given for Lord Ramchandra. And he narrated the pastime that she told about the son of Indra being punished by Lord Ramchandra. Lord Ramchandra was very pleased. He told Hanuman, I don't have anything to reciprocate with you. All I can give you is my embrace. And saying this, Lord Ramchandra embraced Hanuman. In fact, this is the topmost benediction one can even imagine to receive. Even Brahma and Shiva don't receive such benediction. What Hanuman received, the embrace of Lord Ramchandra. Hanuman was so satisfied. And of course, after that, there was a tremendous endeavor to bring all the monkey armies to Lanka. The bridge was built by Nal and Neel, the two architects in the army of Sugriv. And they all reached to Lanka, and there was a fierce battle in which Hanuman killed so many great warriors and commanders in chiefs of Ravana's army. And once the battle was completed, Lord Ramachandra, he established Vibhishan as the king of Lanka. And then he told Hanuman that go and bring Sita, but you should take permission from Vibhishan first. So Hanuman took the permission from Vibhishan and he went to Ashok Vatika. And he gave that good news to Mother Sita that Ravana has been killed along with his entire dynasty. Practically everyone is killed. All his soldiers, all his allies are finished. So he brought Mother Sita. Vibhishan and Hanuman, they together brought Mother Sita to Lord Ramachandra. And in this way, Hanuman did tremendous service to Lord Ramachandra during the Battle of Lanka. After the Lanka's battle was over, Lord Ramachandra returning to Ayodhya. Now, because this Lanka's battle took place almost toward the end of 14 years, Lord Ramachandra remembered that Bharat had told Lord Ramachandra that I will be eagerly waiting for your return. But my dear brother, remember one thing. After 14 years, if you delay even one day, I will give up my life. I will not be able to maintain my life. That was love of Bharat. So Lord Ramachandra, he told Hanuman that I want you to go and do two things for me. One, Bharat had said that there shouldn't be delay, but looks like we will be delayed. No, we will be delayed beyond 14 years. So you go and pacify Bharat. At the same time, also try to see his mood. If you see a slightest tinge in Bharat that he's anticipating me not to return and he would like to be the king of Ayodhya, then come and immediately tell me, I will not go to Ayodhya then. Because in 14 years, if the mind has changed, the person has developed attachment to throne, I don't want to take that throne. Let him be the king. And Hanuman actually, this is actually so amazing. The character of Lord Ramachandra. And of course, we have been discussing Hanuman's pastime, but Lord Ramachandra he's called Maryada Purushottam. His behavior is heart melting. So Hanuman went. He went, back to Ayodhya, and he went to the place where Bharat was staying. He was actually staying as an ascetic. He was wearing the tree barks, and he was simply eating barley cooked in cow's urine every day. For 14 years, that was his food. So Hanuman, when he saw Bharat, he was so eager for Lord Ramchandra to return. Hanuman didn't find any tension. In fact, he found the epitome of love. He understood what love really is by seeing the love of Bharat. And he pacified Bharat that Lord Ramchandra is coming soon. And he narrated the entire incident of Mother Sita being kidnapped and Lord Ramchandra waging war with Ravana and conquering Lanka. And then Hanuman returned to Lord Ramchandra and mentioned to him that Bharat is still so eager. He has so much love for you. So Lord Ramchandra returned with Mother Sita, Lakshman. They came to Ayodhya in the Pushpak Viman, the airplane that was originally belonged to Kubera was forcefully taken away by Ravana. So Lord Ramchandra used that airplane to come from Lanka to Ayodhya. And in this way, Lord Ramchandra returned with Mother Sita and Lakshman to Ayodhya. And he was coronated as king. Now, of course, there are many wonderful pastimes that happened even after coming back to Ayodhya. One time, Mother Sita actually gave him a beautiful necklace from her own neck, because she was feeling so much affection and love for him. And Hanuman took that necklace, started, ripping off each and every piece of the necklace and looking into each and every pearl and jewels. So somebody asked him, Hanuman, what are you doing? Why you are destroying this beautiful ornament that Mother Sita gave you from her own neck? He said, I'm trying to look for the presence of Lord Ram and Sita in those. If they don't have, then it's useless for me. Because Hanuman was anyway brahmachari. He had no value for any wealth, and he was, so much absorbed in the service of Lord Ram and Mother Sita that he had practically no value for anything else. So when he said that I'm looking for Ram and Sita's presence in these jewels, somebody said, oh, is it? Without the presence of Ram and Sita, there's no value for you. How about your heart? Does it have Ram and Sita? So Hanuman said, of course, if it doesn't have, then there's no use for my heart to exist. He actually tore off his chest. And that's one of the beautiful deities of Hanuman, having his chest torn off, and within his heart, Ram and Sita are visible. This is the kind of love Hanuman had. And Lord Ramchandra again embraced Hanuman. So because Lord Ramchandra embraced Hanuman, Hanuman was thinking, now when Lord Ramchandra winds up his pastimes, how can I give up this body? This has been embraced by Lord Ram. This body is so dear to Lord Ramchandra that he has embrace it out of love. How can I abandon it? So Hanuman expressed his inability to give up his body. And that was one of the reasons why he did not go with Lord Ramachandra to spiritual world when Lord Ramachandra wound up his pastimes. Hanuman was left behind because Hanuman was thinking, this body is so dear to Lord Ramachandra. I cannot give it up. So this is the principle, Tadyanam Samarchanam. Anything that is dear to Lord Ramachandra is most dear to Hanuman. One time there was one person, I remember in Mumbai, he was devotee of Hanuman. So some devotee, some brahmachari was telling him that, well, you are devotee of Hanuman, that's very good. But you should know that Hanuman himself is eternally devoted to Lord Ramachandra. So you should worship Lord Ram. And that person said, no Ram, only Hanuman. So you're thinking, he's so foolish. When Hanuman hears this statement, he will probably slap him so tightly, because anything that is dear to Lord Ramachandra is so dear to Hanuman. So somebody who may pretend to be dedicated or devoted to Hanuman but doesn't have any respect and love for Lord Ramachandra will be rejected by Hanuman. Hanuman is actually eternal companion of the Lord. Many years ago, I remember I had been to Vrindavan, and we went to temple of Radha Govindadev. So Pujari of the Radha Govindadev temple, he actually took us inside the altar, and he took us underneath. There's a basement under the altar. So I don't know how many of you seen, but Radha Govindadev temple is built on a hill. You can see actually a little bit hill. You have to go up. So beneath the altar, there's the basement. It's like underground. So he took us underground, and there was the deity of Lord Hanuman. And he explained us the history of that deity. He said when they were excavating this place for building the temple for Radha Govindadev, they found this deity of Hanuman. So this is the deity which was found by Rupa Goswami when he was getting this temple constructed. So Rupa Goswami only established the deity of Hanuman under the basement. In the basement, build a small temple. So there's a temple of Hanuman right under the Govindadev temple. So this Pujari was explaining that Hanuman eternally serves the pastimes of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan as well. So I was wondering, this looks like Rasabhas. I said, I never heard this. He said, no. There are references in the scriptures that Hanuman eternally serves Radha and Krishna's pastime in the form of Vayu, the breeze. So we hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, you quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam, that we hear from Srimad Bhagavatam that when Krishna was performing Rasa Leela, there was a cool breeze that was flowing, soothing gopis and Krishna. Perfect breeze. So that breeze is none other than Hanuman, who serves Krishna, Srimati Radhika, and all the gopis during Rasa Leela by giving them nice cooling breeze, comforting them. So Hanuman is eternally companion of Lord, and he serves the Lord in every form. Especially he is dedicated to Lord Ramchandra's pastime. But if the Lord appears in different incarnations, he also appears with the Lord. Especially when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appeared. Hanuman also appeared with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as one of his very intimate associates as Murari Gupta. Murari Gupta was one of the very dear friends of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In fact, all the authentic biographies of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they all have their source in two diaries mainly. One was the personal diary of Srila Sarup Damodar Goswami, who was companion of Lord Chaitanya in Nilachal in Jagannath Puri after Lord Chaitanya took sannyas. And another is the diary of Murari Gupta. Murari Gupta also maintained the diary or pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So Murari Gupta's diary was from Navadip. All the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya was recorded in Navadip by Murari Gupta. So it is by the mercy of Murari Gupta that we have all the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in Navadip documented. In fact, Murari Gupta also wrote a beautiful literature, very elaborate pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in the form of Sri Chaitanya Charita Mahakavya. So Murari Gupta was so dear to Lord Chaitanya. In fact, Lord Chaitanya performed so many beautiful pastimes with Murari Gupta as well. So Lord Chaitanya, when he was young student in the school of Gangadas Pandit, he was known as Nimai. So Nimai, when he was in the school of Gangadas Pandit, he would actually exhibit tremendous amount of arrogance. Lord Chaitanya would be so arrogant because of his exhibiting the pastimes of his scholarship. He would exhibit tremendous amount of arrogance. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur actually explains that Lord Nimai, his arrogance would actually create fear in the hearts of atheistic people. But devotees, when they saw his arrogant pastimes of scholarship, their heart would be charmed so much. So Nimai would actually very often challenge Murari Gupta. Murari Gupta was also learned, very learned scholar. But Murari Gupta, one time he was with his friends, was talking on yoga, subject matter of yoga. And Nimai, he started making fun of Murari Gupta. So whatever sentence Murari would speak, Lord Chaitanya would mimic that. For example, the Murari would say, yoga is the way of self-realization. Nimai would say, yoga is the way of self-realization. Mimic in that way, making fun of Murari. So Murari was getting so annoyed. He said, Nimai, please stop it. You are a son of a Brahman. This way was not befitting to you. And Nimai told Murari, today when you are taking your lunch, I will teach you a lesson. And saying this, Nimai went away. And in the afternoon, when Murari was sitting for lunch, he was about to take his lunch. His meal was prepared in front of him, on a proper leaf plate. When he was about to take his lunch, he heard a roaring sound. Murari! And Murari was silent. Who's this? Who's calling me? He was still sitting with his plate to eat. And he saw a beautifully dressed boy came right up to his plate and started urinating in his plate. And Murari was shocked. This was such an unexpected behavior. And before Murari could say anything, the boy said, you should not mix bhakti with yoga. And saying this, the boy went away. So Murari, he saw the boy was dressed so exquisitely. He thought, was it Nimai? He said that he will teach me some lesson today during lunch. So the lesson Lord Chaitanya was trying to teach, Nimai was trying to teach to Murari, is that mixing the different forms of self-realization like karma and jnana and yoga with bhakti is like mixing the urine with nice prasada. It's not at all desirable. So Murari just wanted to confirm whether it was Nimai. So he went to the home of Nimai and he saw indeed Nimai was dressed in the same attire which he had come to his home to pass urine on his lunch. So Murari got the lesson. Lord Chaitanya would actually very often taunt Murari Gupta. Murari Gupta was from the family of Vaidyas. So his father was a Vaidya. Vaidya means physician, Ayurvedic physician. And Nimai Pandit was studying in the school of Gangadas Pandit, which was school of Sanskrit grammar. So Nimai would sometimes make fun of Murari. Murari, what you are doing here in the school of Gangadas Pandit? There are no talks about kapha, vata, pitta, mucus, bile, and air here. What you are doing here in the school of Gangadas Pandit? You should go home and study about kapha, vata, pitta. But Murari was a great scholar. He said, why you're saying like this? You ask me any question and I'll reply. And Nimai would ask him very complicated questions. But Murari was being a scholar, he would reply all the questions of Nimai. And then Nimai would refute whatever answers Murari would give. And Murari could not, uh, believe that this Nimai was such a great scholar. He thought even Brihaspati cannot stand in front of him. But Murari was also a great scholar, so he would argue. Nobody could defeat each other. Lord Chaitanya couldn't defeat Murari, and Murari couldn't defeat Lord Chaitanya. In this way, they would go on debating on so many different subjects. Lord Chaitanya, when he actually went to Gaya and returned from Gaya, started revealing his identity. He started Sankirtan movement, and he started revealing his identity to everyone, all his devotees. One day, Lord Chaitanya ran to the house of Murari Gupta. Till that time, Murari didn't know that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Lord. He knew Murari, he knew Lord Chaitanya as one of the great scholar, Pandit, son of a Brahmin, Jagannath Mishra in Navdeep. So Lord Chaitanya went to the house of Murari Gupta. Murari Gupta was sitting in his DT room that time. Lord Chaitanya went right inside the DT room, and Murari was sitting there, and Lord Chaitanya, right in front of the eyes of Murari, transformed into the form of a beautiful boar, Varhadev. And Murari couldn't believe his eyes. He saw Vishwambhar, Nimai Pandit, transforming into Varahadev. And Lord Chaitanya, in the form of Vara, he took that, there was the pot, brass pot, or copper pot actually lying, water pot, which was lying in the corner of the DT room. Lord Chaitanya took that and put on his tusk, representing the earth. And then he looked at Murari, said, Murari, offer me prayers. And Murari, with folded hands, he couldn't believe his eyes. His voice was faltering, and he started offering beautiful prayers to Lord Chaitanya. He said, my dear Lord, what ability do I have to offer you prayers? In fact, even Vedas, personified Vedas, cannot glorify you enough. No. It is futile for even ordinary mortals like me to think that I can glorify you. Your glories are unlimited. Even Ananta Shesha with his thousands of mouths cannot come to the end of your glories. And Lord Chaitanya, when he heard these prayers, he told Murari, what you say is right. But yet, there is, Vedas have the audacity, because Vedas, they do describe that Lord has no hands, no legs. So Lord Chaitanya said, Vedas have such an audacity to say that I have no hands, I have no legs, I have no eyes, and so on. And there is one sannyasi in Kashi, in Varanasi, who propagates this nonsense. And because of his offensive behavior, he has developed leprosy within his body. He doesn't even know this. And yet he continues to be offensive to me. And then Lord Chaitanya, he was expressing so much anger on this impersonalist philosophy. And Lord Chaitanya said, not only the Vedas have audacity, but anyone who is offensive to my devotees is the object of my anger, wrath. My devotees are most dear to me. If anyone misbehaves with my devotees, it's an eternal truth. I will destroy that person with my own hands. And Lord Chaitanya, he gave example. He said, when I appeared in this form of Varahadev, I lifted the earth from Garbhodak ocean. And because of my touch, Bhumi Devi became pregnant. And she gave that son. I personally trained to be virtuous and to be, the great ruler. I personally trained him to be a Rajrishi, to a great king. But the hands of destiny, he fell in bad association of Banasur. So he was known as Bhauma. From Bhauma, he became Bhaumasur. And I personally killed him because he was tormenting my devotees. Because he became demoniac, he started tormenting my devotees. So as Krishna, I appeared and I personally killed him with my own hands. So Murari, I tell you this eternal truth. Even if my own son, if he persecutes and torments Vaishnavas, I will destroy him. This is my determination. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed this beautiful eternal truth, how dear the devotees are to the Lord. Of course, there are so many beautiful pastimes. Of course, we are falling short of time, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually revealed the inner meaning of Murari Gupta. He said, Lord Murari, he is hiding in the heart of this person, which means Gupta. Gupta means hiding. Therefore, his name is Murari Gupta. So, of course, Lord Chaitanya had many, many beautiful pastimes with Murari Gupta. I think we will stop here. So, Hanuman, he appeared in Lord Chaitanya's pastime as Murari Gupta. And Lord Chaitanya revealed so many beautiful lessons while performing pastimes as Murari Gupta. There are also, quite a few other pastimes with Murari Gupta, where Lord Chaitanya instructing Murari Gupta and the glories of Lord Nityananda. Lord Chaitanya spoiling the plan of Murari Gupta to commit suicide, and many other wonderful pastimes. Lord Chaitanya taught so many beautiful lessons from these pastimes. So I think it's already 8:30, so we will stop here if anyone has any questions.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so very much. It was such a beautiful narration. You took us through Sundarkanda so beautifully last 2 sessions, and really you narrated it with such a fine details, and those details have such a deeper meaning. So many important lessons to be learned also. Like especially this Lakshmi and Lakshmi, this is so wonderful that Lakshmi in the form of Sita Devi was actually a Lakshmi, and how beautifully you narrated that how Hanumanji took the praise from Mother Sita, how a devotee should take the praise. That was a very important and beautiful lesson. So thank you so very much. It was such a nice narration. Okay, so at this point, we okay, so we have Hari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Go ahead, Hari Prabhu. You can ask your question. We can hear you.
No, I didn't have a question, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Your hand was raised, so we thought you have a question.
Oh, I didn't know my hand was raised. Okay.
No problem. Okay. So At this time, if anyone has a question, can unmute. Yeah, Shyam Girdhari Prabhu has a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat
Hey,
Pranam.
Shankaranand, so nice to see you.
Same here, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one question. The way Akshay Kumar, son of Ravana, killed, and the way Jarasandha was killed by Bhima in two different yugas, is there any because it's the same mode of killing, right? Is there any connection, Prabhuji, or?
No connection. As far as, at least I never had any connection between two. But yeah, it is very normal in the course of fighting that sometimes warriors who are very powerful, like Bhima or Hanuman, they may bifurcate the demons. Like Krishna also bifurcated Bakasura. So that's a very normal style. Sometimes the warriors with immense strength could bifurcate the opponent in two pieces.
Because Jarasandha has a bone rate Prabhuji. Maybe I was under the impression that maybe Akshay Kumar maybe having the same type of bone or something. Okay.
Something like that.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have a question from Radhika Mataji. Please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hello,
Hare
Pranam,
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhupada and Tirutha. Thank you for wonderful class, Prabhuji, as always. So I have a question. Last week, when you narrating the pastimes of Lord Hanuman, you said like sun god has instructed Hanuman to go and serve Sugriva and Vali because they are his sons. But can you? Is it like both are their sons? I thought like Sugriva is the a son of Indra or Vali, one of them. So can you clarify the doubt for me, Prabhuji?
There are two different opinions, but some opinions say that that Vali was actually son of Indra, and some places says that Vali and Sugri both were sons of Suryadev. So Suryadev had natural affection for both of them, but because Sugri was put in disadvantageous condition, so he told Hanuman to go and protect Sugri. Yeah, but as we know, we read in even Bhagavatam words that pastimes of the Lord have unlimited variety. So sometime in some yuga, when Lord Ramchandra's pastime taking place, the Sugriv could be the son of Suryadev only, and sometime he could be son of Indra.
Wonderful. Prabhuji, there is a question from Ramakrishna Prabhu on chat. He's saying that Hanumanji served Lord Rama in Treta Yuga, then he served, we just heard that he served Radha Krishna also in Dwapar Yuga, and in Kali Yuga he served Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how did he, or from whom Hanumanji received this boon of Chiranjeevi? We also hear that he's Chiranjeevi and how he's serving in different forms. So
well, I never heard if he received any boon from being Chiranjeevi. Probably one of the demigods, when Indra hurled the Vajra on his chin. Probably some of the demigods might have given him boon of chin, but I don't recollect that. But Hanuman, because he is the eternal associate of Lord Ramchandra, he doesn't need to have any boon from anyone. Like Vibhishan never got any boon from anyone, but he's also Chiranjeevi. Ashwathama never got any boon from anyone, but he's also considered Chiranjeevi. He's also living. So the great personalities like them, they don't have to have any boon from someone. They could be, even Bhishma Dev. In one way, he was Chiranjeevi. He could die only when he desired. Right. So, in that sense, the great personalities like Hanuman, they don't need to have boon, but there's possibility that he might have received the boon from some demigods. But because he's a servant of Lord Ramchandra, he can go on living as long as he likes. Because as long as he lives, he's living right now also in Kim Purushavarsha. As long as he lives, he will simply continue to glorify and spread the glories of Lord Ramachandra. In fact, it said wherever Ramayana is recited, Hanuman is personally present. He cannot resist himself. He would appear there.
Wonderful. So we are fortunate that Hanumanji is here with us also. It's such a beautiful narration of Ramayana. Thank you very much. Okay. Any other question from anyone? Okay. Krishna Prabhu. Go ahead, Prabhu. Yes, you can unmute yourself.
Prabhuji, we have a temple in our hometown, Savarchala Sameta Anjaneya temple. So what is the, is he married or what is the pastime behind that?
Well, I have also heard that, but as far as we know from authentic scripture, Hanuman never got married. But some say that Hanuman was, because Hanuman was receiving education from Suryadev, right? And there is some portion of the Vedas which requires a person to be married. Like now, Narsimha Chaturdashi is coming soon, right? So there's a beautiful pastime of Sripad Shankaracharya as well in this regard. Certain portion of the Vedas requires a person to be having experience of family life. Okay, that means a person should be married. So Hanuman, because he was receiving the knowledge of Vedas from Suryadev, he was required to have a wife. Like in Sripad Shankaracharya's pastime, there's a beautiful pastime, Shankaracharya was, he was going in different places all over India and defeating great scholars. So in those days, there was a great scholar named Mandan Mishra. He was known for his scholarship. He and his wife both were such great scholars. So Shankaracharya was thinking, if I defeat Mandan Mishra and make him my disciple, then it will be much easier for me to spread the message that I have. So Lord Shankaracharya, he went and he had debate with Mandan Mishra, who is considered incarnation of Brahma. So he defeated Mandan Mishra, but when he was defeated, his wife, she said, the defeat is not considered complete till the time you defeat the wife also, because I'm better half of my husband. So you have to defeat me as well in the Vedic knowledge. And I wish to discuss with you the Kama Sutras from the Vedas. And you are disqualified because you are a sannyasi. You never had any union with any woman. So you don't know anything about Kama Sutra. So Shankaracharya said, okay, I will need time of 1 month. Then I'll come and discuss with you. So then Sripad Shankaracharya, he actually went to his matha and he told his disciples that I will go in samadhi, I'll leave my body and will enter into the body of some person who has actually access to the sex life. And I'll experience in that way and come back. So preserve my body. Make sure that my body is not harmed in any way. So that time, the king of the country, who was actually highly corrupt, very lusty, very corrupt person, he died. So Sripad Shankaracharya entered into the body of the king. And of course, king had many, many wives and maid servants. So Sripad Shankaracharya, he entered into the body of the king and he actually started experiencing the family life, and he was ruling as just king. So the ministers, they had understood that from the physician, royal physician, that the king had died. So they started thinking, because ministers were not foolish. They were like nowadays, sometimes some person dies and all of a sudden comes back to life. In the hospital also it happens many times. So they think, oh, he was momentarily dead, but because of shocks and all, he came back. But that doesn't happen. That could be that some other soul entered into the body. It happens many times. So ministers were well acquainted with this technique of Parakaya Pravesh. So, they started looking for that find out who is this person. Is any yogi had recently died and his body is being preserved? Because this looks like this great soul who is actually ruling so just. Our king was so wicked, but this person is so virtuous. We wish that he continues as the king to rule us. So they wanted to find out who that yogi is, whose body is being preserved. And they told the soldiers, go and burn that body so that he cannot go back. So the soldiers, they actually, they went looking for such a body, and they came to the ashram of Shankaracharya, and they saw the body was being preserved. So Shankaracharya had told his disciple, as soon as you see some dangers, recite this verse and I'll come back. So the soldiers, they set the body of Shankaracharya on fire, and the disciples recited that verse. And Shankaracharya came back in the body. The whole frontal part was already on the fire. So Shankaracharya got up and he came down from that, but his hands got burned. So that's when he actually compiled these beautiful prayers to Lord Narsimha Karavalamba Stotra. No. And then, of course, he went and had discussion with the wife of Mandan Mishra and defeated her, an argument as well, and they both became the disciples of Shankaracharya. No. So similarly, Hanuman is said to be receiving some knowledge from Suryadev, for which it was required for him to be a family man. So Suryadev created from his own race some illusory form, which became actually the wife of Hanuman. Of course, I've never read any scriptures where there's a reference, but this is folklore and could be true. You know, that just for the sake of educating him, Suryadev married that daughter Suvarchana to Hanuman. But never heard any about Hanuman living with Suvarchala and giving birth to any children and all.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Nice question. So now we can see if any other question. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Okay, so Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, so you mentioned about, Lakshmi Devi. In our context, if we, earn some wealth by not so appropriate means or not dharmic, then that Lakshmi becomes Alakshmi, takes the form of Alakshmi, and then Alakshmi is the cause of degradation, disease, all those things. So in our context now in modern society, we work for different employers, and we have different types of jobs, and most of the time we see what it ends up into is not so dharmic, the businesses and all those things. So how can we relate it to us in our lives, like the grahastas earning wealth, how it acts in our life, and how should we take it?
Yeah, very wonderful and practical question, Prabhu. Thank you for this nice question. Well, every effort in this world would be tainted with some flaw. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also, every endeavor is tainted with some flaw. As long as the profession or work that we have is not directly break regulatory principles, I'll say directly. Indirectly, it might be, if you're working for a bank and bank is financing some liquor or financing some slaughter industries, you cannot do anything. But as long as we are in some company or in a profession which is not directly contradicting the 4 regulatory principles, it is considered okay. No? Because we have no control over the institutions, the organizations, how they conduct their business, with whom they conduct their business. No? But we render our service to them. We honestly fulfill our obligations for what we are getting paid. No? Our responsibility in one way gets over there, as long as we honestly deliver what is expected out of us. No? Now just imagine, we have heard British ruling India created havoc. They did so much injustice. I mean, I've heard a lot of things right from a childhood, and our school teacher, a lot of things which were not in the history books. Like cutting off the hands of some of the fine artists who could produce different things. They would cut off their hands so that the tradition cannot be passed to the generations. And yet we see one of the most illustrious Vaishnava Acharya in our Sampradaya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He rendered service as magistrate to British ruling. He was serving honestly, without any duplicity. He was serving the British government. And so much so that in those days, just imagine, he was such an efficient magistrate that in those days, putting a special railway line from his home to his office. Can you imagine? Putting a railway line was not ordinary track, especially in British rule. So he was so efficient in his services. And he was serving British. Apparently, one of the most demoniac governments he was serving. So as long as we do our service honestly, our job honestly, what is expected out of us, we deliver, and it's not contradicting four principles. The ways and means by which we earn Lakshmi is not really a Lakshmi. So it is the appropriate way, and even if there is some flaw in our work, little bit here and there, Krishna adjusts that. Because no work is going to be free from flaws. I hope that makes sense, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, very much. Thank you. Okay, Prabhuji, if no one has that, I have another question.
Yes, Prabhu, sure.
Yeah, so on your discussion where you mentioned Mother Sita was praising Hanuman, and Hanumanji, how Hanumanji replied. Hanumanji mentioned that, actually I was the most useless monkey, and, that's why they sent me, because they don't want to send their, most important soldiers first, and things like that. That's how Hanumanji replied. So now, sometimes in our lives also, we get praise from, our seniors sometime, and, whoever. So, we get praise. And we also tend to reply in such a way that, no, it was not me, it was not because of my own strength, and it was this. So that's how we tend to reply. Now in our heart, sometimes we feel that, no, actually, I was qualified and I did it, So I'm just trying to relate how Hanumanji had come to that point in replying in such a way. Was it because of the Vaishnav Sadachar, or was Hanumanji really feeling that way, or was that the case? I mean, how should we understand the mentality or understanding of Hanumanji when he was replying to the praise?
Very nice question, Prabhu. This reminds me of a beautiful verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. It says, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Purushera kita hoite mui se lagishta, jagai madai hoite mui se papishta. He says, Purushera means human stool. Okay. Purushera kita means a worm in the stool. Hoite mui se lagishta. I am more abominable than a worm in the stool. And Jagai Madai hoite mui se papishta. I am more sinful than Jagai and Madai. Now, does that mean that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is actually more sinful than Jagai and Madai? No, he has written such a beautiful literature, which transforms the lives of millions. Anyone who reads Chaitanya Charitamrita, from cover to cover, will helplessly become a Vaishnava. He will have no control over, even if he is a hardcore atheist, if he simply reads Chaitanya Charitamrita from cover to cover, is bound to become a Vaishnava, unalloyed devotee of the Lord. That is the kind of compilation Krishna Kaviraj Goswami has done. And yet, when he says, he's not faking, he's not speaking some superficial statement that I'm actually lower than worm in the stool. He's actually feeling that the worm in the stool is much more genuinely living life. I am actually such an abominable person. So this is naturally happens by the dint of devotion to the Supreme Lord. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami also explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita, what does Radharani thinks? Now we know in our Vaishnava, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, we understand that Srimati Radharani is the topmost when it comes to devotion to Krishna. Anyone has any devotion is coming from Srimati Radharani. She is the source of all loving devotional service to Krishna. But Krishna Kaviraj Goswami explains, Radharani is thinking. These are statements of Srimati Radharani. She thinks, I don't have any love for Krishna. In fact, all I have is lust. If I had any love for Krishna, how could I even survive in separation from him? In fact, if I had any love, there would be no separation at all. But the very fact I'm feeling that I'm separated from Krishna, I'm alive, that itself indicates that I'm so lusty. I'm so attached to this body, to maintain this body. Now, this is what Srimati Radharani thinks. Now, just imagine. This is natural when a person develops devotion to Krishna. Because of remembering the wonderful qualities of Krishna all the time, sometime when devotee remembers or sees his own heart, feels himself abominable. In fact, the way of ecstatic love happens in such a way that a devotee, when he feels the feeling of separation from the Lord and he sees, I'm still alive, being separated from the Lord, out of ecstasy of love, he thinks, oh, I am so lusty, I'm so greedy. I'm so wicked person. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Vishayi Durjana Sada Kamarata Kichu Nahi Monagun. He says, my dear Lord Gopinath, I am Vishayi. I am a sense gratifier. Durjana, I am most wicked. Sada Kamarat, I am always engaged in sense gratification. And Kichu Nahi Monagun, I don't have any good qualities. And if you read his songs, he says, I'm always being tormented by lust and greed. Kama, Krodha, Adi, Doy. The two thieves, they are always plundering me in the form of lust and greed. Kama, Krodha, lust and anger, they are always actually plundering me. They bring me to the shore of ocean and throw me into the ocean of repeated birth and death. That doesn't mean that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is actually Vishayi or Durjana. But sometime out of ecstasy of love, the Vaishnavas, they consider their position as insignificant. And they consider themselves actually very abominable. So Hanuman, considering himself to be just one of the ordinary soldiers, is actually humility of Hanuman. It's not that he's actually insignificant. In fact, among all the Vanaras, he is the best. He's the best servant of Lord Ramchandra. But the nature of humility is, it makes the devotee think that actually I'm insignificant and I'm abominable. Really.
Thank you very much, Raji. What a beautiful answer. You explained the progression of bhakti, how a devotee who progresses in bhakti starts thinking like that. This is such an important principle. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can't thank you enough for your time. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Divanam Prabhu for giving me some service, and thank you all the devotees from Richmond group and everyone else who joined. I am so indebted to all of you for giving me some service. Yeah. To absorb the mind in the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra and focusing on the glories of Lord Hanuman.
Yes, it was beautiful. It was one of the kind we, never had a specific seminar on Hanumanji. So this was the first time, and it was beautiful. Thank you. So again, on behalf of all the devotees of ISKCON of Richmond, we are very, very grateful for your time and association, Prabhu. And we request you please come back again.
Thank you for giving me some service and indebted to all of you.
Sure. Thank you.
Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Grace Shankaranand Prabhu ki
Karan
jai.
Prabhu ki jai.